Thank you all for meeting with me. You're all doing some wonderful work destroying the world, but I think it's probably time for us to reevaluate.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption, but I think we're in the wrong meeting. We're not here to destroy the world. We're here to save it. You see, we are some of the leading leaders of liberal causes, and I'm with the Human Rights Campaign, who focus on LGBTQ plus and trans rights. You see, I have the equal sign to let you know that I'm a good person.
Oh, excuse me, women's reproductive rights.
Climate.
Free Palestine. Open borders.
I misspoke before. You guys are not destroying the world, okay? You are saving the world.
Hey, whoa, what's up with those scare quotes?
Pretty sure I didn't use scare quotes when I said saving the world.
There it is again.
The important thing to keep in mind is that there's a big election coming up, and you and I, we're all on the same page, okay? So if we want Biden to win, he needs to win in order for us to save the world. If we want Biden to win, you folks, how can I say this? You might need to tone it down just.
Tone down what?
Oh, that's a good question. You're women's reproductive rights, right? Okay. Excellent branding, by the way. It's much easier on the ears than baby murder. So kudos to you on that one. But opposing any restrictions all the way through to the 9th month, I mean, you see how you're kind of tipping your hand, right? Makes people think, wait, maybe they actually want to kill babies. And we do, obviously.
No, we don't.
Oh.
No, we don't. We don't.
Right. We don't. But you see how it can kind of look that way. So that's all I'm saying. Let's tone it down. And you, immigration, clearly we don't want a completely open border that undermines any sense of national sovereignty, driving down wages for the working class and overtaxing the welfare state. So let's go a bit easy there too. I mean, why not something like this? Why not something like diversity is our...
Are you trying to say diversity is our strength?
Yes! How do you say that without laughing? Oh my gosh. I can't even get through it. This is aide de moi. My sides. My goodness. Okay, what about you? Pro-Palestine. You are, I'm going to say this. You're kind of coming across like you just want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all the Jews.
We do want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all the Jews.
Of course, yes. And that's awesome. I'm all for that. I love that. But you need to pretend like you don't want to wipe Israel off the map and kill all the Jews.
Why?
Excuse me?
I mean, we're pretty clear in our position, and most young people and everyone on college campuses, and half the Democratic Party, of course, still support us.
Yeah, it's cool now.
You may have a point there. You might be the only person in here that can be as evil as you want to be and get away with it. All right, still, let's think about tactics. Okay, do you think that occupying bridges and blocking traffic is somehow winning people over to your cause?
Yeah, and making people hate us by blocking traffic is our thing. He's stealing our thing!
You're not stealing your thing. You must die. We will kill you all!
See, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, okay, I love the homicidal thing that you got going on there. I really dig it, okay? But maybe market it just a little bit differently. Like the serial killer that everyone thinks is such a sweet guy, He's got 27 bodies in the basement, but he's like, coaching Little League. That's what I want. Be that guy.
Death to America.
The funny thing is, you don't even look Middle Eastern. Am I wrong, people? Am I wrong?
I'm not. I actually grew up on Long Island, but my parents sent me to college. Death to America.
HRC guy. You have been going over the top as well.
Well, it's important for us, they, them, to be accepted just like everyone else.
Yes, of course. And convincing people that they're intolerant for not wanting men to get naked in women's locker rooms. I guess that's genius. I mean, come on, it's next level stuff. All right, but insisting that your children be mutilated. I mean, come on, it's turning people off, you guys. I mean, not everyone, obviously, but until the election, can we just all pretend for a few months not to be crazed, lunatic, homicidal extremists?
Extremist? No, it's my body, my Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump.
You will obey me. Sorry. Glad we're all on the same page, though. So, how do you do it? When I do evil stuff, it seems like nobody likes me. When you do it, everyone finds you sympathetic.
Well, see, my people are oppressed victims. So we can rape, murder, and call for genocide, and it's pretty much totally justified.
Well done, Ahmed. Well done.
Hey you! Are you enjoying these videos?
Isn't it ironic that when you sit back and look at things truthfully like that, that movement, bowel or otherwise, can get away with things that are absolutely abhorrent because they get to claim they're the victim. Do you feel the same way? Hey, folks, welcome to the program. Do me a finger, would you please? Raise your finger, share the program. And let's kind of just chat. This is one of the programs where the content of the program is going to be up to you. It's questions that you'll ask across different platforms. Things that you want to talk about. By the way, thank you so very much for reposting the stream and sharing this. And so that's what it is. Let's kind of catch up on everything that's going on out there. Have a discussion. If I have an answer that comes from my own research or understanding of a topic you ask about, I'll be happy to answer you. If I don't answer you, it's simply because I just don't have any information, and I'm not one that I feel like I have to have an answer just because I'm asked. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. How refreshing is that? Hey, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. And yes, my voice hasn't recovered yet, but I'm working on it. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Would you please go to jovanlovesgold.com? I do this with the fine folks at Goldco. If you watch what's going on with precious metals, they're going through the roof. But this is not about, right? This is not about getting you to invest in precious metals. This is more about covering your ass. And here's what I mean. If you have a retirement account, 401k, IRA, whatever the case may be, for that money that you've put away years and years and years previous to right now, and you wanted to get a hold of it, say something happened to your house or your car, need it, God forbid, for a medical emergency. Many times you trying to get a hold of that money, that funds, that's yours. It's almost impossible, or they're going to try to ding you 50%. There's a law in the books that deals with gold and silver that can help keep that from happening. And that's why a lot of people go to my partners at Goldco, because now's the time to protect your money from gold and silver. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Now, the way this works is in chat. I'm going to watch the different chats. Fire your question. I'll give you any feedback I can give you. And it's just kind of an open platform. Like I've already seen one about Tina Peters. There was a trial regarding Tina Peters. We'll talk about it. And we'll see what's going on. But this is your program today. This is where you drive it. So you ask the question. So share this right now. We'll get started right after this brief moment.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, guys, this is where we just talk. Let's catch up on everything. Also known as an Ask Me Anything, where you get to ask your questions. I see a lot of questions about, is President Trump going to do anything about the elections? What about Tina Peters? What about Mike Lindell running for governor? What's going to happen to the Clintons with Epstein Island, etc.? This is what a program like this is for. If I have facts, I'll give you facts. I will always tell you when I think, hey, something's just my opinion. Or if I can't answer it, I'll just tell you I have no information on that. Now, one of the things I found very interesting is just watching and attempting to understand. Now, remember, I do not watch other people's programs. I don't. I do not watch other people's programs, no matter how much they are either friends of mine or, great relations, whatever, or partners or whatever mine and different things. I don't watch other people's content. I do that for several reasons. The main reason when it comes to election integrity, just to make sure for any future court dates that if I'm asked, well, did you participate in this, stop the steal stuff and all this stuff or whatever, I can say I don't do that. I've provided commentary before on a few items, but that's in a commentary role from my area of expertise. But I don't ingest other people's programs. So it's kind of a waste to ask me, well, what do I think on somebody else's program that they did this? Although one thing I've been watching is I've been seeing many people comment about Tucker, about Candace, about Megyn Kelly, etc. Of like, what the hell is going on? Now, I posted for you, I'm going to show you this clip. I posted for you a clip of Candace talking about Charlie Kirk again. Now, I got to tell you where I stand on Candace. When she first came out as a guest and she started appearing different places, I absolutely thought Candace was a rock star, right? Some of her analysis, her passion, I dug the passion. She's cute as a button. And I could see her commentary. And I thought, well, that's good. So I can naturally see her evolving, eventually getting a seat. When that happened, boom, and she's, should we say, in industry, I really didn't watch anything. And I see a lot of commentary about where in the hell is she coming from and what's going on now. And what are we witnessing in this alternative media world? And when I say an alternative media world, I'm of the mindset, if you think somebody is a great influencer, reporter, journalist, or whatever it is, just because they tell you you're a patriot, they're a patriot, or they tell you they care about America, I'm just telling you, your picker's broken. It's the same thing we did with media who beat into our heads they were fair and balanced. It was total BS. And if you paid attention to what's happened over the years, we've got some that said, oh, I've been a journalist for 20 years and this and this and this, and a conservative, and you find out, well, they actually bought somebody else's domain that had been around that long. And then they claimed it was theirs. And then when that story came out, they dropped that banner like a hot button and went a whole another different direction and just try to stay away from it so they don't get nailed on it. So I tell you, independent, patriotic, whatever media in many ways is just as bad as mainstream media. Period. And you have to understand in the media world, what is the difference between news, which is something you read, by the way, and is prepared. What's the difference between journalism, which is something you research, you investigate, and you report on? And what's this different from people just kind of giving their own opinion? That you like them because they used to work at Taco Bell, and then they were a fireman, and now they're where you go to understand constitutional law. Well, if you don't take into account where they come from, then you're only going to get the quality and depth of education that they have or what they're willing to regurgitate. So I'm trying to figure out in this world, how much of this is now so many people have changed careers. Now, I've been in the media game, call it movies, radio, television, whatever, since I was 15 years old. That's a long damn time, right? That's 45, 46 plus years. It's been a very, very long time for me. On all sides of the spectrums, even when I would sit there at your Good Day Dallas in the morning and Fox News and stuff. And so I've been around for a long time, understand it, have the credentials, etc. But the question is, do we as a world anymore recognize what we're seeing in media? And do you understand that the right can be manipulated as much as the left? And so we got this big crisis going on. Is it just all a big grift? Here's one of the funnies being produced about it.
Follow the money grip road. Follow the money grip road. Follow the money grip road.
Okay, followers, today I'm headed to meet the great and powerful wizard of grift.
Grift!
He supposedly knows the secret to going viral without switching my opinion every 5 minutes, which would be nice.
Quick question, Candace. Did you switch your stance on Trump again? Because factually, mathematically, and biologically, you've pivoted 4 times since breakfast.
I evolved, Ben. It's called branding. Duh.
Well, my heart may be missing, Candace, but even I can feel whiplash. Statistically, of course.
Have any of you wondered why we're on a money grift road? I mean, who laid these grifting bricks? Why this direction and why today? I need a zit!
Tucker, we're going to get you a brain. Don't give me a documentary pitch until you can actually think, okay?
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it definitely is! Sorry about that. I'm trying to control that, but Candace, I can't keep up with you. One day you're pro-MAGA, the next day you're anti-MAGA, then you're pro-MAGA again.
Well, maybe if you stopped yelling about lizard people, you'd read my updates.
I have not confirmed the lizard people today!
Grift! Follow the money grip road. Follow the money grip road. Follow the money grip road.
Well, if it isn't the Grift Squad. Candace, Ben, Tucker, Alex. Y'all switched sides so many times, I had to fact check Michelle's gender just to keep up with you guys.
Wizard of Grift, tell us, how do we achieve stability, clarity, and consistency?
This is the internet. Nobody came here for consistency. They came here for content. Always remember, pivot for profit.
So you're saying we never needed truth?
Truth? No. You just need a good thumbnail.
Grift!
Well, that does explain everything. Sorry. That was purely a reflex.
Follow the money grip road. Follow the money grip road. Follow the money grip road.
So a lot of people are asking these questions. What's true? What's real? What's not? I'm going to answer one question before I show you this piece on Candace because it will help you understand Maine. So MedBed asks, question, have you heard that July 21st is the real switch over date? 30 prophecies coincide on the date of July 21st, right around the corner. Let me ask you a question. Where would I have heard that? You can put it in chat. If in fact I was one of these people to hear that, where would I have heard it? So let's chase this down in a linear fashion. Okay? Here's how I think. I think when somebody comes on and they basically don't use their name, don't use their ID, and basically tell you, I have super secret information that everything's going to change over on this date. Now let's analyze it. We know we're in the midst of a war, right? We know we're in the midst of a war. And we hope like hell things change, right? We hope like things change. All of us do. All of us want things to change. Now, let's say we're fighting said secret war. We've got everything in place, okay? Everything in place. We've got our people inside. We've got the systems ready to go. We know who we're going to prosecute. We've selected the prosecutors. They've prepared their cases. We've prepared the people that are going to go make the arrest, and we're going to do the big switch. Okay, you with me so far? Okay. And yeah, I know you're asking about a piece of information. I'm answering it in a broader sense for everybody. I'm answering in a broader sense because it allows a good teaching moment, and I want people to benefit from the teaching moment. Okay. So let's just say that because this talks about July 21st. It's obviously not July 21st right now. So I'm speaking to a broad audience now. But let's just say July 21st is in fact going to be the switchover date. So what I did is I took you from a chatter, and now I'm lifting the chatter and I'm taking the one definitive thing that is here. Okay? One definitive thing that is here. July 21st. And looking at that date and then knowing we're months and months away from that July 21st. And then we make logical conclusions about what has to change to get these rat bastards out. Okay? And we're going through it. Now we're looking down the road to that July 21st date. So let me ask you a few. And by the way, if you haven't been tuning in for the last week or so, I have an old injury to my larynx, my vocal cords and everything. Every few years, I have to deal with it, especially if I catch a certain type of cold. And in that process, I have to rebuild my voice because it goes away. I lose in my voice, I lose a lot of my tenors and some of my baritone because my vocal cords won't open and contract the right way. So that's what you're hearing in my voice, right? And I got to do exercises all day to keep on building it back. Like, ooh, I got to work on it, right? Anyway, that's what's going on. So now we're dealing with this super July 21st date. I want you to think a minute about all the things that would have to change to get these rat bastards, right, out of our system. Everything that has to be put in place. So let's say that President Trump, powers that be, have it in place. Now, let me ask you a question. Would that be an operation that would be kept totally under wraps? Yes or no? Put it in chat. Would that be an operation that would be kept totally under wraps? Yes or no? You're about to replace everybody. You're about to imprison everybody. You're about to get back control of the money. You've got the courts ready. You've got the prosecutors ready. You've got all that, right? You've got it ready to go. You've done your homework and you're ready to spring. Would you announce it in any way? Would you give the enemy a 6-month lead time from D-Day, when you're going to finally come in and kick their ass, would you in any way give them a heads up? Now, some people will say, well, maybe they're faking them out for the day. Let me just ask you a different question. Let's just go backwards, because people will provide excuses. See, number one, I think it's total horseshit. What people say are prophecies are bullshit. They're not prophecies. They may call them prophecies, right? It's like somebody saying, well, I predicted the whole outcome of the Senate runoff in January 2020. Well, maybe because you said our guys aren't going to win, but now you prophesied it. It's total horseshit. But again, let's pull this back. Would you allow, number one, would you even work with people that would let that information get out? Hell no. If somebody got it out and you saw it hit the radar, would it still be sitting out there? Hell no. So we tend to jump, well, maybe they're just faking out the date. Maybe it's not it. Okay, well, let's play that one out, right? It's supposed to be July 21st. That's going to be the day it's all going to take over. Would you give them a 7-month lead? No. Next question. Would you give them a 6-month lead? No. Would you give them a 5-month lead? No. 3-month, 4-month, 3-month, 2-month, 1 month. See, it's against your own interest to give them any lead, even if it's a 1-day heads up, because the rats can delete drives, delete information, and haul their ass out of town. So the question is, would you give them any lead? I think when it comes to this is something you don't see coming. It happens, it walk in, it's over. And therefore, I don't invest my time in any of this. I put no credence in this. I put no credence in people that say, well, it's a prophecy, it's this or that. Where is it coming from? Now, I can tell you where it's coming from. All you have to do is get very close to it. If you get close to that prophecy and lead and kind of give it a whiff, it smells like ass. Why? Because they picked it out of their ass. Therefore, in one linear thinking exercise, I make the decisions that's best for me. Wait a minute. Some random person on the internet, right? Some random person on the internet, right? And you can tie it to a lot of things, but we're talking about a switch over to the system. We can tie it to a lot of things. Prophecy's been around forever, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I don't even think we have the skills at this time to narrow this down. But what some people put out there to provoke, or people think are provoking, and you don't have to, be sorry for it, takes up your time. So the question is, where is it going to take your time in this battle? Well, we all wish it could happen, and that's about all the thought you have to put to it. It'd be great if it could. But when you apply yourself to it, nothing holds up. And so remember, I told you, when you ask a question, I'm only going to give you my opinion on it. And all I just did was gave you my opinion on it. And my opinion is very simple. I don't know of the day you speak, but, and don't feel embarrassed or whatever, people learn by it. But when I apply logic to these things, and I look at some of these things, logically, it won't happen. It takes too many people. It's just like people saying, well, the government's still in control and president's still Trump. Even when I laugh about it with President Trump sitting there, the thought of back then that he was still president, but people do it and they get bought into these things. And so that for me, I don't invest any time in it. because prophecy of all kinds is just another flavor of hopium. And it doesn't matter if it's hopium from the good side, hopium from the biblical side, hopium from the inside Q side, or any of that. I personally, for me, for mental health reasons, choose not to deal in hopium and to try to look at everything from a linear fact basis. And by pulling apart those facts, I can't put it back together. I can't. And just, you got to understand, it's also a double-edged sword. If in fact it's prophecy, way back prophecy, and let's say it's an accurate prophecy, don't you understand? Evil forces know that too, and evil forces work towards that same date to make it not happen. Why? Because they got the same heads up. And so when you tweak it into the prophecy segment, then what I do, ready for this? I let go and I let God. If God saw fit in prophecy to tell us it's this date and here's what's going to happen, then I also understand evil knows too. Evil's going to work against it. That's in the heavenly realm. That's angels and demons. And I'm going to let go and let God. That I trust, which means it doesn't have to be on my radar. And that's my philosophy. So you can see what the question was, right? And I'm just telling you, this is how, for me, I make sense of all of this. How I make sense of all of this. What I do though is I look at, for me personally, am I fulfilling my role in this? If there's a big prophecy going on, and there are big celestial movements, angels and demons going on, and I'm in the heavenly realm right now, am I doing my work in the heavenly realm to make sure I'm reaching as many souls as possible with clear thinking, not being terrified, and being prepared? And that's how I measure me in the role I currently play, because I'm locked into the earthly realm. And that's how I make sense of all of this stuff for me. Now, what we were doing is we were talking about Candace and grifting and whatever. Now, this is kind of a nice parlay, because Candace has now, for some reason, I do not know what her obsession with Charlie is, but when I watch her talking about Charlie Kirk, I think, my own opinion, she's destroying everything he stood for. Now, I don't know if this is a woman scorned because they ran her out way back when. I don't know if that's it. But it's almost like she's working hard to destroy what people think of Charlie Kirk. Listen to this.
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler.
Number one, unless I have the phone in my hand and can see the text, I'm not going to buy into it. People can do all kinds of things. You can even generate phony tweets from famous people. But now Candace's stick, and again, she's cute as a button. She'd probably be fun for a couple of hours, but past that, Charlie's what?
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their...
Now get ready. I want you to listen. We're going to analyze this. I'm going to let it play through the next time. But I want to show you what is really being said. She's now basically saying that Charlie Kirk said he was a time traveler. Now that kind of shocks you and makes you listen. But what was the message she was really delivering? That he was a time traveler to come to find me, Candace. You see how she turned this to make it about her? And if you believe Charlie was great and divine, oh, he was put back in time to find her. This is some batshit crazy stuff. Here's the whole clip.
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young. Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA. In some way or another, at the very least, we can all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. I'm totally occupied by this. I tell you, I read these messages and I'm going, what is this? What is reality, actually? And Charlie died. Yes, like I said, it was related to this organization. And I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly not in a way that I can articulate. You just cannot pretend that all of this is one big unhappy coincidence. It's entirely plausible, I think plausible, that they knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought, like the agents think, that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to Charlie. So when for the first time in his life, because I do believe he was managed, I mean, I've already said I was handled. I didn't recognize that I had agents. And for the first time in his life, Charlie peeks his head up and starts to push back in a meaningful way. They couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable. But they panicked. They seem to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen within a year when Charlie's going like, hey, man, I don't actually think this. I don't actually believe this. And then he goes, you know what? Take the money. Take the money out of the organization. And they panicked. They freaked out. And their solution was, no, just kill him. Just kill him. We can't have this.
Number one, bat shit crazy. Number two, let's apply linear thinking to this. See, linear thinking is what destroys every bit of this, but people don't linear think. And I'm going to give you a really good, right? And there's no defamation here because it's her speculation. It can't be proven. But let's do some linear thinking on this one. Are you ready? Now, if we had to choose an anchor, I mean, you take what's being said as something of fact. What are the anchors in this story? You ready? Charlie, Candace, Turning Point, death at an early age, right? And then the bullshit story about investors leaving them and everything else. But with Time Traveler, so you have anchor facts and one wild card. Now, let's play this out. Linear thinking. If Charlie came back in time to pick out Candace, to pluck her out, because he could see this is the future, you basically have to accept he could see the future. Bear with me. I know it sounds weird, but just bear with me. So he could see the future. Now, shadowing Charlie, as she says, are agents who basically, like in the Matrix, are seeing the same thing Charlie's seeing, and they're kind of managing him from the future, and they come back in. You with me so far? Put in chat if you're with me so far. I've set up the players. Okay? Now, this is where logic, when you apply linear logic, it destroys all these bullshit messages. Because the first thing you have to do to believe the message, if we take it on face value, that Charlie was from the future, he knew what was going on, he could see it clearly, he was sent here to do something, and there were forces working against him. Okay, you'd have to believe that. So let's just take that at face value. Now get ready. Here's where linear thinking fucks it up. She then switches midstream. I'll play it for you again. She then switches midstream to say they couldn't account for Charlie saying, nope, I'm not going to take the money. I don't want any bit of this. No way, not going to happen. I'm not going to toe that line. I'm not going to say what you want me to say. And therefore, they make the decision to kill him. Now, did you catch what the disconnect is when you take it as face value and then you try to map it out? What is the disconnect? The disconnect is not that it's weird speculation. The disconnect is the first half of the story. She sells you that he comes from the future because he knows the future, and there are people tracking him to make sure that future goes the way they want. Plays it out, and then right in the middle switches to, oh no, Charlie turned, and so they decided, oh shit, we got to kill him. That negates they could actually see how it played out. Because if they saw that scenario play out, Charlie would have been off a long time ago before he ever became a moving force. They would have taken Charlie out when he was a little bitty twinkle in his dad's eye. He would have missed and he would have run down the crack of his mama's ass. You understand what I'm saying? This is how they rope people in. Even to the fantastical, they know the more fantastical it is, right? People buy into it. But then, if you just apply the linear thought build to it, the time travelers would have fucking known they were never going to be able to switch him. He was going to come into power. He wouldn't take their money. He wouldn't walk away. And therefore, they wouldn't have let him come to power in the first place. You see how much this bullshittery is? Now listen to it from that filter.
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young. Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA. In some way or another, at the very least, we can all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. I'm totally occupied by this. I tell you, I read these messages and I'm going, what is this? What is reality, actually? And Charlie died. Yes, like I said, it was related to this organization. And I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly not in a way that I can articulate. You just cannot pretend that all of this is one big unhappy coincidence. It's entirely plausible, I think plausible, that they knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought like the agents think that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to Charlie. So when for the first time in his life, because I do believe he was managed, I mean, I've already said I was handled. I didn't recognize that I had agents. And for the first time in his life, Charlie peeks his head up and starts to push back in a meaningful way. They couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable. But they panicked. They seem to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen within a year when Charlie's going like, hey, man, I don't actually think this. I don't actually believe this. And then he goes, you know what? Take the money. Take the money out of the organization. And they panicked. They freaked out. And their solution was, no, just kill him. Just kill him. We can't have this.
You see how it falls apart? If you learn anything from that story, when I look at it, I see a woman scorned. I see a woman who wanted to be Miss Kirk. I see a woman that when she mentions Charlie's name, people now watch her more. She's vying for position. But everything came back to her. He came back from the future for me. I'm his homie. I have agents too. They watch me too. You get the bullshit? There you go. The only thing I know about Candace for sure is she wants to do the horizontal mambo to me, but currently I'm being successful at resisting it. But you know what's even worse? People gobble up this shit. People gobble up this shit. And this is supposed to be conservative media helping us save our fucking country. And what is it? Theater to keep you distracted. Why? Because probably right now there may be 1 million people discussing was Charlie Kirk a time traveler. And then we're going to start seeing videos. Look, see his hand, his finger disappears. Look, it's a different ring. He must have bleeped in and out of town. This is psychological warfare. She's either doing it for money or she is mentally unstable, in my opinion. Now, funny thing happens when you get money. You might get money to be plopped into position and get $10 or $20 million a year, but you do have to perform. So all of a sudden, she may find out the more something she says outlandish, the more people come to the site, the more she makes the money. Then you're a slave. So for me, I'm trying to figure out, is she just whacked? Or is she a slave? Which has nothing to do with color. I think she's got addicted in the cult of personality, in views, in being talked about, in doing appearances, in being famous. Charlie was her ticket. She got pushed out. She tried to ride that as much as she could. With Charlie gone, it became amplified that the people wanted nothing to do with her. And so she's going to try to claw back that imprimatur as much as she can. And that is my personal opinion on that. By the way, can I clean your palate? Let me clean your palate from that topic. We're going to talk about Tina Peters. We're going to talk about elections. But let me clean your palate with some very interesting talent. And by the way, it's as corny as can be, but it's very funny. Check this out. Isn't that hilarious? I probably watched that a dozen times when I saw that piece. And it's just a stupid horse mask. But to do that, it's so iconic when you hear that, right? And yes, your money was for nothing. You may have got a few pillows, but your money went to nothing and you got a lot of P caps for free. Anyway, somebody asked, is President Trump going to do something about election integrity? Have you noticed the war that's currently going on in election integrity? What is the war going on in election integrity? And have you noticed who's sticking their finger in the pot to move it to the right direction, other than all of us here? But if you notice what's going on, the headlines when it comes to election integrity is everybody talking about Venezuela, right? Venezuela, 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 Venezuela. Machines, 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 machines. Venezuela, Venezuela, Venezuela. Smartmatic, Smartmatic. Dominion machines, machines, machines. And they bank on you not knowing the actual facts. Now get ready. I'm going to drop something on you I've never said, but I'm going to tell you what I see. Venezuela has always been the key conduit of fentanyl into the United States of America. You know that, right? Go back and search your brain, right? That Venezuela has been the gateway for China's fentanyl to get that killer drug into our country. Can we agree on that? Yes. Now, let me ask you a question. Did that fentanyl event begin during the Trump administration or Trump administration 2? Is that when the fentanyl event coming to America began? Put it in chat. So I'm asking you, we're doing some linear thinking here. Okay? Doing some thinking here. Is it a President Trump-centric thing? Hang on. Swallowed my damn lozenge and almost choked myself. Hang on. So when did fentanyl become this massive crisis for the United States? Was it a Trump thing? Was it a Trump thing? Okay. Personally, for me, it is not a Trump thing. It is way before Trump. I think you logically know that. I think I logically know that. So if we were to go back in the timeline, when we're talking about election integrity, so pay attention. If we were to go back in the timeline, fentanyl started coming across our borders in 2000. The massive runs started during the Obama administration. Massive, massive, break down the screw and walls, bring that fentanyl in. Okay? It is uniquely in volume an Obama era issue. We know it's coming in. And so during the Obama era of logistics and drug running, it just freaking took off. When did fentanyl seizures begin in scale? So it started coming in the 2000s. It became its height, its pervasiveness, its concentration is exclusively an Obama era thing. When did our country finally start getting some seizures and enforcement? Trump won. Again, I want you to look at the facts. Trump won. The big seizures come during Trump administration and one, right when he came into office, right? You started hearing about the seizures, and then we started getting thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, enough to wipe out a city, being seized because the United States basically was able to understand the Mexican cartel basically replaced China and trafficking. There was kind of a switch going on, okay? So it basically becomes an unmistakable, and a lot of them began earlier, but I'm just talking about propensity. It became an unmistakable thing. So the first thing I want you to understand is the flood of fentanyl is uniquely an Obama thing. The enforcement of getting fentanyl out is uniquely a Trump thing. Then it was ignored while they had Trump out, and Trump gets back in. Now, all enforcement for fentanyl, right, during Trump era 1 was against what country? What country? Mexico, not Venezuela, Mexico. So what happened in a very unique new pivot? Okay, what happened in the pivot? You think about it. What happened in the pivot? I'll gather some facts here. Because you understand something happened in a pivot. Wasn't Colombia. We know China was manufacturing it. We knew it was coming from Mexico, and we're able to understand the cartels were doing it. And then all of a sudden, there is this pivot. And it pivots from Mexico, and it somehow pivots to Venezuela. Now, do you think this was uniquely new evidence that happened? Because, see, we knew since 2018, 2019, that not only China made it, but China sent the precursors, meaning the parts to make it, to Mexico. Mexico made it. Right? So let me ask you a question. You're now seeing that President Trump is shooting boats from Venezuela, trafficking what many say is fentanyl. Have you seen those things? Yes or no? Have you noticed our government will now shoot boats out of the water from Venezuela, telling us they are trafficking fentanyl? Did you catch that? You did. Okay. Let me tell you what I see when it comes to election integrity. See, you thought I've been talking about fentanyl drugs. No, I'm talking about election integrity. Let me tell you what I see. I basically, when I sit back and look at this, and I look at the advent of our government doing a pivot to Venezuela and tying it to drug trafficking in the boats, isn't it interesting? It mysteriously coincides with CIA whistleblowers saying that Venezuela and Smartmatic are the ones that rigged the election. Go back and plot the dates. Pay attention. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, our DOJ, right, is blasting drug running boats, which was more than likely cocaine, not fentanyl, which has always been coming through, right? But if you look at the timelines between the hits, which should have been done, that's not what I'm debating. When you look at the timeline between the hits, a sitting president, through his DOJ, decides to hit Venezuelan drug boats. Now, the drug war shit stopped working. But let me tell you what I think went on. It's the machines that the votes were swapped is, in fact, a CIA operation. All of this sting to keep people away from voter rolls and all this other stuff and focus on the machines is a CIA operation. Well, what I believe happened is the CIA ran an internal op. They ran an internal op against President Trump's hot fucking button. They stole the election from me. They tell him, right? They tell him it was Venezuela. They focus him on Venezuela and then say, we've got to get Maduro, whatever, out. Now, is that a good thing? Yes, it's a good thing. What will happen to the oil? We don't know. We do know that Venezuela was supplying China with oil and China's hurting. But let me tell you what I see. I see the president was worked to strike Venezuela so it would lend credibility that Venezuela rigged the elections. It was the machines. You get it? All of your Venezuela whistleblowers are supposedly ex-CIA, ex-FBI, who are going to start really pointing out who did it. Our election didn't get stolen by a foreign country. Our election got stolen by our own fucking country internally. And because President Trump was putting heat down, they needed to do something because you know it ain't the fucking machines. You know it. They needed something that they could pull a trigger. That they could pull a trigger and say, it was Venezuela. Look, we got it. They did it. I do not care who tells you this. I'm giving you exactly what you're here for, my personal opinion of what I see. And my personal opinion says the president of the United States was subjected to an operation inside that was done, great benefits, fuck up the oil to China, stop a lot of these drugs, be a hero, but it was done operationally to make it look like it had something really to do with our elections in Venezuela. So everybody would focus on Venezuela. Now, goes to the first part of my question. Who's pushing back on that? Have you noticed Elon chiming in, and he's only chiming in about the voting rolls? Have you noticed all of these Biden-era judges saying, oh, we can't turn over the voter rolls that compromise voter information? Are you noticing that? Are you noticing Elon putting up a full court press? The fucking voter rolls, here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. That's the internal war that's going on right now. There's one part that knows exactly where this shit comes from. And there's one part trying to convince a world it's a third country because it's removed. And if they just make a little fuckadickety with the machines, they don't have to clean the rolls. When 100% of this is the rolls. Why? Let's look at it as a gun. If I was to show you a picture of a human, a bullet, and a gun, which one's the killer? If I was to show you a picture of a human, maybe I should do this. Here's what we'll do. Hang on. Because people respond visually. And this is how I'm going to answer this, okay? There is nobody in election integrity that's really making decisions at this moment that has my confidence or trust. If that answers your question. Okay? So let's do this. We got that. We've got this. Making just a graphic. So bear with me. Can't even find a picture of a gun on a fucking program. Because it's a no-no. If you look at a gun, it's bad. Just hang on. Maybe I'll find one. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me put this on my screen. Stand by. It's a linear test. And of course, I used a white dude because I don't want to offend anybody. No, it's just the quickest one I grabbed. Take a look at this screen. And you tell me which is primary killer in this scenario. Which one is the killer? Put it in chat. Where is the killer in this picture? Well, it's obviously the dude. All right? It's the dude. Let me see if I can get a... Okay. So now we're going to replace the picture. Here comes your second picture, your different test. See if you can pass this part of the linear thinking test. Okay? So you know it's the human. You know it. That's the killer in this equation. So what we're going to do is we're now going to take out the killer. Now you got two more choices. In this picture, who is responsible for the death? So we know it's a person. And we know who's responsible for the death. You say the gun, you're wrong. I know you say there's neither one of them, but I want you to think more minutely. And of course, I know the ammo doesn't match the gun. I'm not trying to be correct. I'm trying to do whatever. It's the bullets. The bullets. If we had to go in descending order, bullets. You understand what I'm saying? So if we take them in a linear fashion, because that's what we're doing. We're just doing a linear thinking drill, and it's not whether grandpa's a Democrat or the bullets don't match the gun. That's different stuff. That's not it. We're just kind of going through the steps. Okay? When you go through the steps and you have to think through this linearly, which people don't do, then you have to understand, okay, if we're looking at the elements, where is the perpetrator? Well, if you look at it, you understand, well, the human is the perpetrator. You understand that and you know it. The human is the perpetrator. Why? Because the human is the operator. The human is the operator. Then you're reducing it down. So what happens next in the line of responsibility? Right? What happens next in the line of responsibility? The bullets. Right? Bullets. Now you got to understand, if in fact the guy wasn't combined with bullets and a gun, there wouldn't be a death. If the individual, if the human, right, wasn't, right, combined with the gun, there would be no death. Now we take the human out. There is still a potential for death in the fact that there is bullets there. The reality of what's left over is the gun is technically only a machine. You right? You get it? That's my point. The gun is a machine. Period. That's it. The gun's the machine. So you realize if in fact you take away the person, that's one way to stop the crime. Well, we're not going to wipe humanity from the planet. Okay. It's not going to happen. So in order to then enforce the next step, well, we got to get a hold of the bullets. Right? Okay. Now I'm going to give you one more graphic here because see, all that's left is standing is that machine. And I want you to understand how horrible or how misguided, I guess I should say, looking at the machine is in this scenario. Now, I'm going to give you another chart to look at now that you understand that analogy. The next analogy is this one. This is the analogy of voting. Now, if we looked at voting from cradle to grave, we basically have voter rolls, we have the ballots, we have scanners or whatever machines, and because of that, we get politicians, and those politicians can commit crimes. You with me so far? Okay. Now, if we were to look in here, where is the ammunition? Where is the one thing that makes all of this work? There's only one thing that makes it work. In other words, if you took that one thing out it would entirely change the scope of the elections, what would that be? And there's only one. There's only one. Okay, so let's play this drill out, shall we? Let's say that we're going to reach into this scenario and we are going to take out one element in the attempt to fix our elections. Watching in chat, watching what people are saying, some people said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You ready? We're going to take out the machines. Now, let me ask you a question. The formula is as follows. In order to conduct an election and get all the way through to politicians raping us, it all begins with the data of the voter rolls. You can only get a ballot if you're on the voter rolls. That ballot can only be fed into the machine. Ostensibly, it comes from the voter rolls. Those machines have to have those components to get a lawmaker. Then those lawmakers get enabled for their crime. If I take this machine out, can the crime still occur? It's a simple question. Can the crime still occur? Yes or no? If I take out the machines, can the crime still occur? Put it in chat. Yes or no? Yes, it is. It still can occur. Now, why can it occur? If I was to take that machine and I replaced it with a hand count, can those crimes still occur? All I've done is I've gotten rid of the machines. And I've replaced the machines with something that I'm saying is better, which is hand counting. Can the crime still occur? You're right. It can. Now, can we take the ballots out of the mix? Well, the one thing you cannot take out of the mix is the ballot, whether it's electronic or paper. You can't take the ballot because you got to have a vehicle for people to cast their vote. So you can't get rid of the ballot. Now I'm going to ask you a different question. I want you to look at this differently. If we changed our tactic to understand where does the crime exist, what you learned with the gun is you can take out humans in it, but it's the ammo that powers the gun. It is the ammo that powers the gun. The gun's just the machine. And so in the same scenario, if you focus on the machine, no matter what you put in its place, in this instant, hand counting, the system's still viable. But what if you do this? What if you get rid of the voter rolls? Now, here's what happens when you get rid of the voter rolls. The ammunition is missing. The ammunition never reaches the machine. And so if we look at this criminally, what we're doing is we're taking out the ammunition. Now, when you take out the ammunition, okay, and by the way, you can still say, get rid of the machines. You can still do that. And you can still say it's going to be a hand count. You can still do that stuff. But when you understand where this really comes from, where it really, really, really is coming from, okay, then what happens is you can end up reducing crime, reducing bad politicians, because what you did is you took out how they manipulate the system, because they manipulate the system with the voter rolls. And so you see here, you can get rid of the voter rolls is about the only way you can get rid of a bad politician, because that's how you get them out of office. They can't keep staying there. So you get to swap the politicians, hopefully for better ones. And it's going to minimize crime. It's not going to get rid of crime, but it is going to minimize crime because you're getting rid of the bad politicians. And you can still use the machines and you can still hand count. But I've always told you the system will tell you where the crime is. And as our United States government sues these states to get a look at the voter rolls, to find the illegals, to find what's going on, rogue judges are saying you cannot look at the voter rolls. That's a violation of privacy. It is the same reason that Democrats say get rid of the gun. It's optics. That's all it is, political optics. And so if you get rid of the machines, even if you go to hand counting, nothing changes. Nothing. And so if you really want to fix this, you basically tank the voter rolls. Same discussion I had with President Trump. Get rid of the voter rolls, sir. Force everything over again. And we have taken the bullet out of the system. And it doesn't matter if the fucking machine's there. There's no ammo. This is the methodology that works. Now, if you're watching this closely and you're watching me push on the rolls and how long I pushed on the rolls, and you're now watching Elon come out, the rolls, get rid of the rolls. And you watch what the courts are doing. You watch what the courts are doing. And it has nothing to do with anything being certified. Certification stops nothing. We have to do hard facts. We have to have management systems that verifies them. But now you're seeing Elon from afar pushing, you got to get rid of the voter rolls. Not clean the voter rolls. You got to get rid of the voter rolls. Everybody has to start from zero. We must get rid of the voter rolls. Now, why does this matter? If we were to go back in time and we were to look at everything we've been through, and you know how long it's been in us fighting this fight, and that we can show you in the paper how it was done. What's the one thing that the system wanted to make sure never sees the light of day? The paper. They don't care about the cast vote records. They don't care about, it's the machines or whatever, or the companies are bad. Those companies made billions for being the bad guys. But when you pressure them, what are the two things they're not going to fuck with? They're not going to let you see the paper, and they're not going to fuck with the voter rolls, because they don't get their candidates in if you have that voter roll disappear. They do not get their candidates in if they do not control the voter rolls. That's why I think in Oregon, or is it Washington State, it's one of the two, has been exclusive mail-in ballot for 40 years? From the time they initiated mail-in ballots to now, 40 plus years, they never, ever again had a Republican governor. Ever. Think about that. So what they're going to do is they're going to protect the Holy Grail. Now, if the system's in on it, and it's all about politics, and we get in our favorites, and we just keep doing this, and we play buddies. That was Oregon. Thank you. And we play buddies. What does the system that will tell you they're good guys, will get in front of you that they're good guys? What will they tell you when they're worried about fucking if you're going to do the right thing? Well, here's what the GOP does and pays for.
So you have a centralized statewide voter roll that's on networked machines, servers. It has a public-facing internet interface. That's it. That's all I need to know that it's blown. That's a centralized statewide voter roll that was mandated by Help America Vote Act. They have these all over the country. And it's not just that you have a public-facing internet interface to it, but multiple organizations have what's called an API, or an application programming interface. In other words, a machine-to-machine interface into that voter roll. And I'm telling you this because when people say, well, we have to clean up the voter rolls, it's true that they're not following the law. It's true that they're not in good faith maintaining them in accordance with Title 52 that requires that the voter rolls be both secure and accurate. That's a requirement imposed on the secretaries of state who've received the Help America Voting Act and CARES Act funding to maintain those voting systems. What nobody's going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, is you cannot clean those rolls. You're sweeping a dirt floor.
Now let's follow the money. Where did the GOP put its money after they knew something was wrong with the 2020 election? Where did they put their money? Where did pundits and election integrity put their money? The big leaders like Mike Lindell. They paid to do coverage of over 700 cities in the United States of America, dropped millions of dollars to get you together in the name of cleaning this up, to tell you it was the machines and they changed the vote. Now we got Venezuela trying to lend its imprimatur. Well, it must have been the machines. Look, we're going after Venezuela. I'm telling you, all of this is a con. The GOP paid influencers $12 million to convince you to bank your vote, which means you still got to vote early and it's still mail-in voting. And told you don't go on election day because they won't have paper. Exactly what the left wants you to do. And they spent millions to do it, and they paid for all of these city tours. How many city tours were there telling you, we got to get the ballots and do a full forensic audit? How many influencers, newscasts, and stuff out there saying, here you go. Here's exactly what happened. Here's why these ballots are bad. Here it is, and showed you. Not some grainy CCD footage saying, well, that's what we think it was. How much money did they spend on that? Zero. The system tells you, and where we are right now, you got all this press of get rid of the machines. Is the left pushing back on get rid of the machines? Because they know they're under contracts, right? And you can't get rid of them fast enough and they'll already be in. So they don't push back on that. They don't have to. But when President Trump steps in and says, you're turning over your voter rolls, we're auditing, what are they doing? Suing, non-stop suing. Blocking, stopping. Why? Because that's their ammo depot. And if we get rid of the voter rolls, everything changes. Not clean them up, get rid of them. Start from scratch zero with everything we know now. The entire system from left to right works to keep you away from the exact things that will fix this mess. That's what you need to learn to read. And nobody who's in a position of power is doing the right thing. And that's why you see bigger names pushing, because inside right now, there's a huge ass battle going on. Because so much money and operatives have been poured in and around the White House to say it's the machines, let's just do this. And I'm telling you, it's all a con. And I think if you believe CIA whistleblowers or that there are such a thing, or FBI whistleblowers, you're off your fucking rocker. Believe hard factual evidence. And if you can stand by hard factual evidence and we get that there, I'm telling you. Hard factual evidence wins today, but watch what people says. Watch what names aren't said, who isn't talked about, what's not said, who tries to play themselves a hero, who subsumes other stories and will tell you the story but leave key things out. There's a lot of tells of where this battle really comes from. And if you pay attention to it, you're able to see where the good and bad is. And that's why this is a war. And we need all the help we can get. Share this program. Love you.
Our courts are based on clear and convincing evidence. Want convictions? Want justice? For what happened in the 2020 election? Then we need your help. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The decision you make in the next few moments could decide whether we ever get our elections fixed or not. Here's why. Trump campaign and allies filed 64 different lawsuits. They all went down in flames. 100% of these cases were presented on "It's the machines," or "The machines changed the votes," or "The voting company executive said he would make sure Donald J. Trump would not win." They all went down in flames. Why? You can't bring theories to court as evidence. No supposed Zoom call or six-degree polynomial math theory or census data is or ever will be proof of fraud. You can't bring theories to court as evidence. Here's why. In both civil and criminal law, the side making a claim carries the burden of proof, and prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Without physical or otherwise verifiable evidence, a case cannot meet this high threshold. Physical evidence is the key. The question is, did anyone get relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The full forensic audit of Maricopa County, Arizona is the only evidence-gathering work which gathered relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election. Evidence so damning that the system, the deep state, and those who pulled the strings of this country have fought to keep it hidden and have hoped to have it be forgotten to time. Almost $3 million invested in time, funds, and efforts to unlock that which the system wanted hidden. But now, that evidence is in danger of being lost forever. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. With the 2026 midterms coming up, the system is going to try to lame duck President Trump and then most likely introduce new impeachment proceedings. This is the evidence which will help win the war which is surely to come. We need to keep Maricopa County full forensic investigation and archive secure and ongoing. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We need your help securing the full forensic audit archives. Don't allow the only testable, objective, and reliable 2020 election evidence fall into obscurity. Millions were spent on getting it documented and tested. This is historic evidence. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County full forensic audit archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. Please donate now.